Hi everyone, welcome to the 6th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by the presidents of the Quinnipiac Film Society, Ari Menes Julia Merolle. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
How's it going?
As always, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Casey McNichol for her continued support and for making sure that our operation is running smoothly. So, of course, I get a little spiel about what my podcast is all about. Everyone has a story. It's a way for me to get to know my friends on a deeper level because people are always more interesting than they think they are. So, with that all said, this episode of the Zicast is Merolling. I got the whole squad laughing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna start saying that. I'm gonna start saying that on set.
Yeah.
Spring production. Hey guys, are we rolling? We're rolling.
Or Merolling. Yes. I'm glad I could provide something. So, to kick this whole thing off, how about you guys tell us a bit about yourselves?
So I guess should we do proper introduction? I guess I'll do proper introduction. Ari, I'm the co-president of the Quinnipiac Film Society, senior, film major, BFA. So I'm all in on film. There's no turning back. And I'm from Boston, and I'm just saying Boston to make it easier because I'm not from directly in Boston. Saying that now. That's not that much. I like movies. I talk about movies too much. Everyone on the e-board gets annoyed with me because I love movies. And yeah, that's really it about me. I guess I like music and stuff like that and basketball, but we don't.
Big Celtics fan.
I'm a massive Celtics fan. They induce a lot of my rage. I'm not gonna lie.
Relatable.
Yeah.
I'm Julia, but I also go by Merolle because two of my other suite mates are named Julia. But I am a 3+1. I'm currently in my third year. I'm also in the BFA, and I'm also one of the presidents of the Quinnipiac Film Society. And kind of like Ari, I just say I'm from New York, because I'm from like right outside of the city. But yeah.
Awesome. And what are some of your positions at the school, perhaps outside of QFS?
So I work for integrated marketing, communications, whatever it's called now. I work for that for the school. So Quinnipiac Productions, I do a lot of the filming of a lot of events here and editing, stuff that you see on the socials.
Mm-hmm.
That whole cue cart thing that's on the socials right now. Surprise, it's me. So yeah. I do that, and then I used to be in AP for Quinnipiac Tonight. I think that was a question, so we'll probably talk about that more later.
Yes, definitely.
And I don't know what else I do. I used to work in the equipment room, if that's something.
That's definitely something.
This is something. I used to work I was working there since freshman year until last year when I got the job offer to work at Quinnipiac Productions, and I've been working there since.
Awesome.
Yeah, those are my positions. I'm one of four with my roommates, I guess. That's the position.
I haven't really done like anything like Quinnipiac Productions or anything, but I used to do #that on Q30. I was just a general member that would do stuff, but I really liked doing like technical director. I thought that was really dope. I was definitely more the behind the scenes person, and I did host once with Julia Kuzmenko, which was like nerve wracking, but yeah, I would say like that's all I did was like #.
Fun, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm involved with that as well.
Yeah,
It's really fun.
I love #.
I forgot to mention, I don't know how relevant it is. I used to be Ronnie. I used to be director of promotions for
For
QFS. I was on e-board last year. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, and I was secretary,
Yeah.
so I was what Michaela's currently doing now.
Nice. Working your way up.
Yeah.
So kind of on that note, do you guys mind explaining what QFS is for anyone who might not be aware?
Yeah, you want to take that?
You want me to take that
I'm gonna
one?
take that.
So QFS, or the Quinnipiac Film Society, it's the largest film organization on campus. So the other orgs are Women in Film and Quinnipiac Screenwriters Guild. And we mainly focus on just all aspects of film. We have movie nights, we do productions, we do one in the fall, one in the spring, and that's where like members can submit their scripts to the e-board, and we will pick a script to then film. We also have like mini productions, and then our big thing is Sundance, which we're probably going to talk about later, but Basically people apply to be in Sundance, and me and Ari go through all the applications and pick I guess around 20-ish people, and we fly them out to Park City, Utah. And yeah, so Sundance is one of like the big 5 film festivals that is like in the world. So it's a very cool opportunity to like network and meet directors and filmmakers and writers and producers, and it's a really cool experience. And we also have the Quinnies, which is next semester. That's our big next semester thing. It's basically our version of like the Oscars. So people can submit films that they made all year to the Quinnies, and that's run by the director of promotion. So it's being run by Ronnie, and the films that win the categories are determined by film professors. So it's not actually us; it's actual film professors.
It's not just professors; it's a random assortment of judges. You don't have to be a professor to do it. I want to make that clear. Who do you want
to have be it this year?
On that, some people. I mean, there's some people that I was going to suggest that we can't spoil anything.
Yeah.
But, you know.
We usually have like Ashley Brandon. We've had Mary Schmidt do it. We've had Professor Blythe Frank.
Chris Ward.
Jess Orser, now Jess Smith. Schleif. We've had a bunch of the FTM faculty do it.
Andreas too, who was like
Andreas.
That's what I was referring to also.
Yeah, Andreas did it.
Andreas is like he's like a professor here, but also isn't, because he's never taught a class on campus here, but he's the program coordinator for QUNLA.
Professor in spirit.
Professor in spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, he taught a class.
He's a faculty member. I should say FTM faculty.
The big thing also that you forgot to mention was we have guest speakers. That's the big thing. We try to bring in a lot of guest speakers because, quite frankly, the School of Comm fails to do so regarding film. So we bring people in that we have connections with, and have them talk to the students, talk about their real world experiences, because I think that's really important. That's just having the outside perspective from the classroom for our members. So yeah, that's one of the big things. I mean, this year we've had
we had Andreas,
yeah.
Jenny, she's the creator of Jane the Virgin. We had Alex Tomeo, who's working at Marvel, and
we won't spoil next semester.
We have some next semester that are already lined up.
There's some good ones lined up, and some that we're working on. Some big ones are.
I will say this. I will tell you what they do in the industry. Yeah. One is a screenwriter, and for some shows or movies you may or may not know of. And then the other one is a DP. He's a director of photography.
And then I'm not going to even talk about because mine are. I feel like mine are also pretty big, and I don't want to get into. One of them is potentially that one of them trying to set up is an editor, a really big editor. So
very interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So kind of touching on all sides of the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially having someone like Alex on, who's a grad student from, or who graduated from Quinnipiac. It's good to show current students that there is a way from Quinnipiac to the industry.
Oh yeah. Oh definitely. I mean, one of the highlights of LA was that I met Alex in LA at I met him at the alumni lunch, and I got to talk to a lot of former QU alumni who are just like very actively in the industry right now, and it's really inspiring, I guess, but also they give really great advice going directly from Connecticut, just like random part of Connecticut
from Hamden to Hollywood. And
I kind of hate that saying. I'm not gonna lie. Andreas would say it, and I'm like, be quiet.
Yeah, and of course, like the average meeting is always very fun. We've kind of cultivated a great film society or film community, I should say.
We do live in a society, but one of the big things that we were surprised about this year is
the movie debate.
And also just the amount of applause.
Yeah, the applause counter is crazy.
The applause is insane. That's what I was alluding to. The movie debate was great, though.
Yeah, we actually, so we decided to do the movie debate because I think I was going through like the old meetings from like years ago, and I was like, oh, they did a movie debate. Like, what if we tried like doing that? And we also had like an evaluation at the end of the last year.
Yeah.
Just like, what do you want to see more of this year? And movie debate was also one of the things. So we were like, all right, let's try doing that. We're scared. We don't know how it's going to turn out. And it turned out to be really good. Like
It was great.
yeah,
God.
the attendance on that was crazy.
We talked about what cars eat.
Yeah.
I kind of knew, like, when we did that question, I'm like, this is gonna go into an existentialism question about cars. That always was happens, and it was right. I was just surprised, just like how passionate everyone is. I mean, they finally got like, it felt like a Twitter like debate, but it's in real life.
It's like a jolt of energy and
the
entire.
It was insane. It's just like the amount of passion that came through. The amount of energy, enthusiasm, just throughout the year too. I mean, even something as simple as like trailer of the week is like an insane reaction from everyone, and it helps us stay energized during the meeting, and helps us continue, and just be. I feel like it's just this part of like the passion of the club in general.
You'd think we just watched the actual movie by the reactions of everybody there.
It's great. Even just like supporting other people's work, like.
Mini productions.
Yeah, like during mini productions, everyone was like cheering and reacting to it like it was a Marvel movie, and it was great.
Yeah.
Like not a current Marvel movie, like like they were like
Endgame or something.
Like Endgame or Infinity War, yeah.
Awesome. So of course we know where we are now, but I'd like to go to kind of I'd like to ask you where your passions for film stem from, for both of you. What kind of led you here?
Do you have your definitive answer already?
I do.
Okay, so you
want me to go
should go, because
first?
I didn't know if I know I've had mine, so I want to make sure you also had yours.
You can go first.
No, it's either or.
Okay. I can go first. So I would say that I kind of got my passion for film when I was 10. I used to like try out a bunch of stuff like sports and just different activities when I was a kid, and I kept like quitting all of them, and my parents were like, they're like, you need to not quit something. Like, you need to do something that you aren't going to quit. And I was just like, well, I don't like any of these things. So I finally, one of my best friends still to this day, he was a year older than me, and he was in the middle school because I was in 5th grade, and he took this digital literacy class, and he was telling me about it, and basically he showed me iMovie, and he was like, we can make our own videos on here, like all this stuff, and he like showed me like how to edit on iMovie, and like that was it. Like that, I immediately knew at 10 years old, like that's what I wanted to do, which I think like a bunch of people don't like have that opportunity to know. So at 10 years old, I was making like iMovie videos, and they were like stupid. Like, I mean, I was 10 years old. The quality was not good, but
quality was not there yet.
No, it was like, it was just like us playing like in our backyard, or like, you know, like stupid stuff like that.
But you couldn't do an L cut at 10 years old? Well,
no. And so from there on, I would keep like taking this one class in middle school, because it was a requirement actually. But this one teacher was like, she's really good. He was like you should go into this. And I was like, I'm definitely thinking about it. And then in high school, because my high school didn't have really any film classes, it was mostly just kind of like graphic design stuff. I ended up doing film camps over the summer. So I would do a film camp my freshman year, going into my freshman year of high school, going into my sophomore year, and then going into my junior year. I did 3 different film camps. I did one that's called Jacob Burns. It's actually pretty popular in New York. I did that film camp. And then I decided, you know, I'm gonna go look at a different type of film camp. Like that one was great, but I want to see what else there is. And I went to the SUNY State University of New York, Purchase College, and they had a whole different curriculum there. And I was even planning to do that next summer, going into my senior year of high school, but then COVID happened. So. But by that point, I was already doing these film camps every single summer for high school. So that's kind of what I knew what I wanted to do. And actually, funnily enough, now I actually work at that like film camp as like a teacher to all the young kids. So that's basically where my passion for film stemmed from. But in short words, I would say iMovie.
You know how you just said that almost no one knows what they're going to do when they're 10 years old, and you were very lucky?
Did you have that same feeling as me at 10 years old?
Yep. So when I was 10, I guess this all stems from like I saw the Avengers. I saw it in theaters. I loved it, and I feel like I always deep down like I had something for film. Like I always loved movies. I mean, it kind of started with like I know one of the later ones was one of my favorite movies, so I'm going to go deep into number 5 right now, which is Back to the Future, and it's because my dad showed me that. I think I was like 7 or 8, and that was the first time I could like appreciate a movie for just like being a good movie, and it kind of got me started on that little mindset. I mean, I never really thought too deep into it. I would make like stop motion stuff with my Legos or whatever, but
I did that too.
through my dad's iPhone 4. Yeah, that was me.
I also did that.
But then so I saw the Avengers in theaters, loved it, all that, and I asked for it for my birthday because it just worked out that it was coming out near my birthday. So I asked for it for my birthday, and my aunt got me the Blu-ray instead of just the DVD, and that was a really big thing because my dad's computer had a Blu-ray drive, and I'm like, I wonder what's on this, because I only had like a DVD player, and I would just watch the DVDs religiously. But when I went on the Blu-ray, I would watch the movie. I was so obsessed with it that I found a new section on there that was like supplements or whatever it's called. I know it's called supplements on Criterion's. I don't remember where. It's just bonus features. Bonus features. And I watched how they made the movie. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this with other movies that I like. And then I went on YouTube and I went into a deep dive of just watching behind the scenes. I just distinctly remember, this was around 5th grade when this happened. And then 6th grade, I distinctly remember, like, that's when I started watching, like, documentaries about, like I watched, the big one I watched was one about ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and talking about just, like, special effects. And that was a really big one for me. And then it turned into, when I was in 7th grade, I watched the Dark Knight trilogy for the first time. Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies of all time. We'll talk about that more later. But, The Dark Knight, I looked up how they made it, and I watched that, whatever. And then I found a trailer for the trilogy that Warner Brothers made, like the official one. And I don't know what went through my mind, but I watched it, and I'm like, this is not good. As a 7th grader who didn't know anything about editing, I was like, this is not good. And I just was like, oh, I'm going to download all the trailers individually and just cut up my own trailer. And it actually turned out pretty okay. I actually rewatched it recently.
Do you still have it?
So my hard drive broke 2 months ago, and it was on there. So I'll try to recover my hard drive, and I'll get that back. But the point is, like, I don't know what went through my mind to do that, but that was just like that combined with my love of like behind the scenes stuff. I'm like, I want to make movies. I think when I was like in 5th grade, that's when I was like, I want to make movies. And then now I had another skill, which is editing on top of that. And I've been refining my editing skills pretty much up until now. I think this year, or 2024, is going to be 10 years since I started editing.
Yeah, same actually.
So yeah, so we had the same story.
We kind of have the same timeline. You also reminded me. I don't know if you ever saw this, but it was like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid behind the scenes book.
Yes,
dude, I studied that thing. I was
I
like,
have that too.
I
have
that too. Actually,
I saw that when I was like a kid, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I was like, reading. I literally read the whole book. I think I still have it, maybe in my attic or something. But I would study that book. I was like, oh my gosh, like this, like that's also another thing. I was like, this is.
They
what
would
I
shot
do.
movies chronologically.
Yeah, I was like,
what?
But then it just all stemmed into like I just learned more about movies, and I built my passion for movies from there. And my passion for movies comes from creating, but also just a love of cinema in general. I feel like because I would just edit, like I would just take random movies and just put them together and be like, and like edit the trailers and put it into one big montage. So someone's just like film montage, epic movie montage, whatever, that I would just do. So I would just be learning about all these movies. Like I could go even deeper, but there's no need to. I also have a massive movie collection. I've been collecting since 7th grade. I've been collecting Blu-rays since like 7th grade.
Awesome.
So yeah,
that's a great indication of kind of how the internet influenced us in a positive way.
Yeah.
Very young for you guys. Very similar stories with iMovie and trailers, and kind of building your love for cinema by actually making it.
By the way, it was not iMovie for me. It was Windows Movie Maker. I did iMovie like once, but I didn't have a Mac. I had a Surface, so I would do Windows Movie Maker until I think sophomore year. I learned about Premiere, and then it was freshman year I learned about Premiere, and then like by junior year I had a Premiere subscription. And then if you presented me with Windows Movie Maker or iMovie right now, I literally would have no idea what to do. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I've got to the point where like I can't even edit like a TikTok on the TikTok app.
No, can't do that.
Too evolved.
I'm too evolved, yeah.
So kind of to continue further, what led to you both wanting to become the presidents of Quinnipiac Film Society?
Do you want to just start with that story? Because we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
I want to say from my perspective that I want you to fill in the context. My perspective of this was we talked about being the president and vice president like before that. We talked about it, I think, in like January or February, or maybe was it even before?
I think it was February.
Well, was it before I went to LA that we were talking about it?
No, it was. I think it was beforehand, and we were like.
I think it was like in like November or December we started talking about it, but then it turned into. So we just decided like, because Merolle was like, I don't really want to be the one talking that much. So I was like, I'll be president. I'll fill in. Last year it was Casey who's over there, and it was also Will Tier who were president, vice president. We were gonna kind of fill the same role of just like, Will talked a lot, and it was gonna be me, the one who's talking a lot. But one day, I think it was like early April, I was at Disneyland with everyone from LA, and I was in line for like the Millennium Falcon ride, and I was in there for like, I was already probably in there for like 40 minutes at this point. I had like another 40 minutes left in that line, and I get a call from Merolle, and Merolle's like, hey, I think I also want to be president. Like, I think I've decided I also want to be president. And I'm like, okay, let's talk this out. Let's figure this out. And then we decided, like, I think co-presidents would just work. And then we decided co-presidents would work.
Yeah.
So, but this is just in the middle of the line of Disney. Like I'm literally, like, standing in line, and there's, like, lights and sound everywhere. And we're having this very serious conversation. So I'll always remember that.
You were in a galaxy far, far away.
I was in a galaxy far, far away. With, I don't know if you know Sam Dorland, but Sam Dorland was also just yelling in general.
I do remember that.
It was like 9 a.m, and Sam's just yelling because he's Sam.
Yeah. I think I called you like Easter weekend because I went home that weekend, and I just was like thinking about it more since our last conversation. And I was like, you know what? Like, I also want to be president. I do want to start speaking more because I just am more introverted. And I call him, and I just introverted. Yeah, I was, and I call you on the phone, and I think it literally might have been Easter, and I think I just hear Sam just screaming in the background, and you're like, oh, I'm going to the Millennium Falcon right now, like, so.
I was going to the Millennium Falcon,
but I think we talked about it like the next day or something like that.
Yeah, I think we actually had an actual in-depth conversation like what that would entail and all that, but I think it's worked out pretty well because kind of what we did was just like, when you read it on paper, the vice president actually has more responsibilities than the president. Yeah. So we kind of wanted to just like combine in a way, just kind of like delegate some of that responsibilities onto me, specifically the production, so we could both because we have Capstone, we have a lot of stuff happening right now, and it's just like we were just like it just makes sense because also deservingly, like Merolle deserved an equal title to what she does. So I was like, I was perfectly fine with it. Doesn't change anything. So we were just both presidents of the Film Society, and we just do everything as one. I feel like we have a shared brain at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because we're like, what slide theme should we do for the week? And every single week we've been picking the same like themes for the slide.
The Oppenheimer slide is my favorite.
Yeah.
I was saving that for a big moment.
I was like, we should do it for the debate. It would be explosive.
It would be explosive.
Wow, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there really wasn't too much really into it besides that. I mean, so the question specifically was like being co-presidents, like how that is.
Well, yeah, it was more so just like what led you to wanting to become that.
Well, yeah, I guess that was it.
Yeah, that was it. That's what I think just giving the title to her is just like, it's just an equal title. I think that's what she deserves for how much she does for the club. I think on paper I still am, but like when anyone calls me president, I correct them and say co-president. So it doesn't really matter.
Awesome. I'd say what were the odds of she calling you while you're on the Millennium Falcon, but perhaps I shouldn't tell you the odds.
Honestly, my question is why'd you call me at like 9 a.m? Because what if
it was noon for me, so I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I know. I think it was like a Saturday too. Like I was probably had
It was like Easter weekend.
A raging night the night before. No, I was kidding. I knew I was going to Disney, so I went to sleep early for once.
But to finish my joke, I said perhaps I shouldn't tell you the odds.
Oh.
Star
Get
Wars
it?
reference.
You know
Star
what?
Wars?
I have a really good Star Wars thing that I just want to say real quick. When does this come out? This episode?
My plan is for Friday.
Okay, cool. So I'll give it to him before then. For my roommate Nick for Christmas, he's a big Star Wars fan. So I got on Etsy. I found the despecialized edition, the original theatrical versions on Blu-ray, because they're only stuck on VHS. But someone did like a fan recreation. A fan did like a restoration or whatever, made it in HD, and then put it on and made a Blu-ray of it. So I bought him that because I'm like the original trilogy, but the originally how it's supposed to be, and it's like I'm very proud of it. I think it's a very good gift. My love language is gift giving for everyone in my life, so.
Especially with movies.
Oh yeah.
And to kind of go back a little bit, Ari, I'd like to talk about your time with Quinnipiac Tonight and what that taught you.
So it definitely taught me how to speed edit because Casey always got mad at me about this because I always saved it for the last minute. She always got mad at me because I would save it for the last minute.
Speed editing.
Speed editing, yeah. I would probably start on like Monday or Tuesday, and the show was on Thursday. So I would edit very quickly yet efficiently, and that's what that taught me. And also just working, like trying to manage a set. It's difficult. I'm not. I feel like, I mean, when I was 10, I wanted to be a director, but as I've grown, it's like everyone wants to be a director. I don't really know. I enjoy working with actors, but like I'm much more comfortable in like a cinematography editing kind of role. So kind of, I guess, going outside of my comfort zone in a way of just like I have to lead a set. I have to make sure that everyone's doing their thing or whatever, making sure sticking to time. All that. I had to be the DP, producer, director, AD, all in one at all times, and it was a lot. But it definitely just like getting to make stuff all the time was really helpful, and I guess that's the biggest thing. It's like because I feel like Ash Brandon told me this so many times. It's just like keep creating. You just always be constantly creating because that's how you learn.
Awesome. And Quinnipiac Tonight's a great creative space, and I could see how your humor meshes with it.
My favorite segment is still the when I had the first show last year. I had COVID, so I couldn't shoot my thing, and I just shot something in my bedroom while I was sick, and it felt very me in a way. It felt just like it felt like a YouTube poop in a way, and I don't know why. I needed that energy right then, and it just worked out. I think it worked out pretty well. I wish I could find it because I kind of want to put it on something, but I think it's on my hard drive. That's the big thing. The original file is that's what I meant. I'm looking for.
Okay, I have the one on the server.
Oh, okay. I might pull that from the server someday, and let me know. I kind of want that.
Let me know
Awesome.
soon because I have to clear it soon.
I will text you about that actually. Anyway,
And
yes.
now you've made your return to Quinnipiac Tonight with QFS co-hosting this past show. So kind of what did that mean for you to return?
Well, the first conversation that came from that was me looking at Merolle and be like, "Do you want to do it, or am I going to do it?" And you were like, "I don't want to do it. I've already pushed myself too much out of my comfort zone. I don't want to do that." I'm like, "That's fair."
I was just very stressed with just capstone stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like so much. No, yeah, of course. It was weird to be back, especially on the other side because I was a producer for a year and a half. So going to the other side of like, I'm just like with the actors. Like I literally went into like, I don't know, like rehearsal before the show, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been in here for one of these before, and it was so interesting. But I think the best moment of that was seeing Grace Parisi in her element, because I've known her since freshman year, and she's one of my good friends, and I just seeing her thrive in that environment was just like, it meant a lot to me. And I told her that I'm just really proud seeing you do, because like I guess she kind of struggled to find what she wanted for the first couple years, and because she was like, I just don't know what I want to do. And then she kind of found her element of like, this is like in thriving in of this is what she likes, this is what she loves to do, and that's like, it means, as her friend, it means a lot to me. So I gotten to tell her that recently, and that's the biggest thing that came out of that show for me.
Yeah, and speaking from experience, she's quite incredible with how she works.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that being a head writer, but how she works with the cast and she leads the cast practices, and
I mean,
that's always a fun time.
Even like, I was talking to Fritz yesterday, and even he said to me like, yeah, like Grace is the only one who has like a completed first draft of her script for the writing capstone. Her script is just completely done already. I was like, it just shows who she is, very resilient and very just like passionate about what she does. And yeah, just me, it was a very nice moment I got to have with her.
Incredible.
Because of that.
Awesome. And I kind of stick with these Ari questions. I'd like to ask you about your experience in LA and what that taught you.
So LA, it was kind of a fever dream, I'd say. It was a crazy 3 months. Because looking back on it, I don't even know how I did it. It was managing 3 classes on top of 2 internships and just like being in LA. And it was like a lot, and I don't know how I did it looking back on it, but I did. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of that was getting to meet people, getting to talk to people who are actively working in the industry, like picking their brains for information, because that's what I would do. I would there's this site called One Iota. It's like a fan experience type thing, and I would go to the premieres of like big movies and big shows, and as like a fan, but not actually, because I would go there and just network with people, and it was really cool. But then when people would ask me, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing a fan experience or whatever." But like, I'm not actually here for that, and I'm a film student, and I want to just like learn. I wouldn't say that exactly, but along the lines of that. But it got really. I mean, just going up to people is really scary, and like talking to them, especially big people. Like I went to the Outer Banks premiere of season 3 premiere, and I just went up to the director and writer, and it was just my friend Nick and I went up to them, and just started talking to them just about like, being a duo and working, like advice just in general, because you have to do these things so quick, because like other more important people are coming up. But yeah, I think the big thing is just learning from people, also being independent, like having to this is like my first time living off my like truly on my own, being like, I don't have the crutch of I'm living in a dorm at Quinnipiac, or like I can just walk to the dining hall and get food. If I want food, I had to go to Ralph's, the grocery store, which is like 2 blocks away, walk and get food, walk it back, and then make food. And developing that sense of independence, having to wake up, being diligent, waking up, because I was a commuter. I had to commute to work every day. It was like getting in a routine, sticking to that routine, being on top of your work, all that. It was, and then also finding a balance of like, sometimes some of your assignments might be late because I want to do this experience instead. I'm like, I'm not going to remember this assignment, but I'm going to remember this experience. And I didn't stick to that because I actually had tickets to go the premiere of Air, and I had class that day. And I'm like, I probably should go to class. So there's like a producer coming in. I don't remember anything from that, and I wish I went to the Air premiere. So there you go. But yeah, that's the big thing. I guess just diligence and being independence, and just learning to just like talk to people and not be afraid to talk to people, I guess.
So no matter what you're doing, you're learning.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I highly recommend it. I feel like you learn so much out there, and it kind of helped me like build my foundation for when I moved back there after graduation. So that was very nice too. I feel like I gained like not just like a I don't view Andreas as like a professor. I feel like I view him more as like a friend, because him and I would just have like long and deep conversations about just life together. And I feel like I don't have that with just a normal professor. So
And a guide.
Oh yeah,
as well.
And a guide. Yeah, he told me about all the cool spots in LA to go to. Like he's like, you should go to this food place, and I'm like, okay, you paying?
And I'm sure it's a great confidence booster as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a very humble man. Like he what he does, he kind of deserves to have an ego, but he doesn't. He's the most humble, relaxed man on earth. I mean, even right there, the Bad Friends tour thing, like that's his podcast that he produces with 2 A-list comedy people, and it's like he's just the most humble dude ever. Like at Disney, that entire day at Disney, when Merolle called me and said, "Do you want to be co-president?" It was a small group of like, it was me, it was my friend Nick, my friend Sam, and then our 2 friends Holly and Alex, and then Andreas. The entire day, it was like the 6 of us.
It's a small world.
Exactly. We didn't go on that actually, but that entire day, Andreas was talking to me about just like the industry, about life, about working hard, like everything. And it was just like, that's one of the most. I talk about this with him all the time. I talk about that day. I'm like, that was just like a very important day to me. And as a person, he means a lot to me, which was really nice to have that, especially when I go to. Like, I feel like when I go to LA, I won't be alone because he's there.
That's comforting to hear as well.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious as to kind of any other notable moments or people that you met, like the enormous elephant in the room was you meeting Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. So I did meet Mr. Steven Spielberg. To get into that story, I guess, a little bit, I'll give you the short and abridged version of. I was at the Directors Guild. He was at a panel that I went to with all the nominated directors for Director of the Year. I went to the Directors Guild. This was outside of Q in LA because my cousin is in the Directors Guild. We got to go to the Writers Guild through Q in LA, but that was Andreas, because Andreas is in the Writers Guild. So we got to go because of that, but, you know, Directors Guild was a whole different ballpark where it's like my cousin was an AD for a long time. She's now retired and might potentially be at QFS next semester. We'll see.
Oh, dropping that seed, yeah.
Little thing, but you know, so she took us there, and then you know we tried. So we went to the Writers Guild panel before this, and at the Writers Guild panel, we were able to talk to them afterwards. So my friend Nick and I wanted to do that with Steven Spielberg, but we tried to go to the stage, couldn't. Whatever, he couldn't get to talk to him. So we went to the elevator. The elevator's really packed. Went out of the elevator on the wrong floor by accident, and I look over and I see Todd Field, director of Tar. And as the only person I've ever met who loves Tar more than me is Todd Field. So I was like, I'm gonna gravitate towards that man instantly. But then as I was gravitating towards that man, I saw Steven Spielberg walking to his car, and Nick and I look at each other and we're like, we have to do this. We're gonna grab for the rest of our life. So we walk up to him. And we said, Mr. Spielberg, do you have a moment of your time? We would love to just, we have some questions for you. And I think you could tell we were film students because when the security guard basically was like, go away, Spielberg just put up his hand, waved them off. It was like, no, like, let them talk. So, nicest man ever. You know, they say don't meet your heroes. If that hero is Steven Spielberg, you should meet him because he's a very, very nice man. In that moment, I feel like when I wasn't talking, I basically blacked out. Like, I have no idea what Nick said to this day. Like, I wrote it down, but I literally have no idea what he said. But I talked to him mainly about The Fabelmans because that movie meant a lot to me. It felt like the first time I was represented on cinema as a young Jewish filmmaker who had to also deal with a lot of anti-Semitism in high school. I feel like I could very much relate to that to Sammy Fabelman, and that's what I was talking to him about. I said, we're talking about representation, how important it is, and then I asked him about, you know, how do you convey your characters so accurately, especially with Jewish characters. It's very hard to do that, and that's what I want to do in the industry. I want to create characters who are Jewish, but are also just very relatable and kind of just blend in more, so they don't just stick out. Because I feel like every Jewish story is about, it's either super stereotypical or it's about the Holocaust, and I feel like there's no in between. So I want to try to make that in between. But anyway, yeah. So that's what we talked about that mostly, and he was just the nicest man. He told me I'm the future of Jewish cinema and all that, and it was a very big moment. And yeah, I definitely recommend meeting your heroes, I'd say.
Awesome.
I mean, other notable people. I'm not gonna go as in depth, but the Writers Guild, I got to talk to Todd Field about Tar, which is meant a lot because I was also really annoying about Tar last year because it was a very, very good movie, but no one else liked it as much as me.
Will Tier.
Oh, I think I like it more than Will Tier. Him and I had that conversation.
Did
The only
you?
person I met who likes it more than me is the director of the film, Todd Field. So we talked about Tar a lot, and I talked to the Daniels, who ended up winning the Oscar. I met them before they did that, but we were talking to Daniel Steinhardt a lot. We were talking mostly just about movies, I'd say. I was less about giving... I didn't really get advice from him, which I probably should have. I mean, I did get some stuff, like when Nick came... Nick and I are, like, a duo in the sense of, like, he's the writer-director, and I'm more cinematographer-editor, and we work very well together. Been friends since freshman year, live together, work very collaboratively together on everything. So when he came over, he was talking to Ryan Johnson. So after he talked to Ryan Johnson, he came over, and then the Daniels was talking to us about the importance of duos and why it's like the cheat code of Hollywood. And so that was a big thing. But mostly Daniel Steinhardt and I were just talking about movies. We were talking about like Criterion movies because he was just in the Criterion closet. Like that, his video for that came out that same week, so I talked about that a lot with him. I actually just asked him how big is the Criterion closet. That was the main thing. But yeah, I mean, it's less about who I met and more about like the names. To me, it's more about just like getting advice from them. Like I got to talk to Jason Sudeikis at the Ted Lasso premiere, but I kind of talked to him about like the importance of I just talked to him like what it's like thriving on a TV show like this, coming from a mostly like I feel like coming from thriving in film to being a showrunner, what that was like, and that's what we talked about a lot. And yeah, I feel like I was going on a tangent about the people I met, but you know, the people, it's less about the people themselves and more about the experience and the advice that I got from them, because everyone loves talking to film students. That's what I learned.
Do you mind elaborating on the duos being a cheat code?
Yeah, so they were kind of just like working with someone creatively, someone there to just be like, this idea is bad, is really important. That other person is there to humble you. That's kind of the big thing that they were talking about. Being together, I guess, being a package deal. Also, it just allows for different ideas creatively. That was kind of the big thing that they were stemming from. And it was not just them. It was also the writer. So the writer and the director of Outer Banks are two different people. I feel like there's like a writer. It's the writer of Outer Banks, director of Outer Banks. I don't remember their names, but they also told this to me, Nick. They said being a duo. They talked about being a duo. So I guess that's like the big thing right now. Like even like Talk to Me. I don't remember their names, but they're like.
Oh yeah, Rocka.
Rocka. Yeah, they're the two people too.
Ash also told us that the other day. We were talking to Ashley Brandon, and she was also saying that if you're going to go into the industry, like make sure that you have like a creative partner to go into the industry with. So I think that's just like a common theme.
I think just like the direction the industry is going in.
Yeah,
it's very interesting why you'd rather have two people to put on salary rather than one, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, film's the ultimate collaborative experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it.
It's great thinking, like the Coen brothers, the Safdies.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
I feel like even the Safdies are separating now. Like, I feel like Benny's getting into, like, acting. He was really good in Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer.
Yep.
But also, like...
he did Uncut Gems, right?
Yeah, they directed it, yeah.
Good time as well.
Good time, yeah. And the big thing is, what's that show called? The Curse. With Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone, he's in that too. So it's just like, I like seeing him as a director also kind of blow up as an actor. It's really cool to see.
Very versatile.
Yeah.
And kind of sticking on the topic of advice, what advice would you have for anybody who wants to do QUNA like Julia and I?
Getting an internship is really hard. I applied for a lot of internships. I think it ended up totaling over like 25 internships, and the two that I got, I was really happy with. I wanted to do, I actually used the opportunity to do something different. I wanted to do something that I just had never, I'd never done before, I guess. Like, so I kind of went on more like the producing side for one of them, where I did a lot of like archival. I worked for Campfire Studios and did a lot of like archival footage for them, and also like just location scouting and pre-production and stuff like that, leading up to like their shoots for the documentaries that were coming up. I worked on a few big documentaries too, which is really, I felt like it was something that mattered. I guess like I got to work for like documentaries that are going to come out on Netflix and Hulu and premiere at Sundance and all this stuff, which was like really a big thing for me. Felt like also just like Sundance happened when I was there, and like I'm hearing about it from my friends who went, but also I'm hearing about it from like my boss who just went because they went to go buy movies, and I got to hear that side of it, which was really cool. But
that happened to me as well, because I did an internship last semester, and they were talking about how they like worked on Sundance or whatever, and I was like, oh, I have a school trip to go on in my first week of the internship, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. I get back, they were like, so can you tackle this article about Sundance? I was like, oh, that's where I just went. And they were like, oh, that would have been good to know. And I was like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Like, you know, so that's also funny, because I went there, and then my boss for my internship was also like, can you actually write this article about it? And I was like, yeah.
It's really cool knowing about both sides of it, because like you and I have both been. This is the first year Merolle and I are going together, but like I went my sophomore year. She was supposed to go and dropped out at the last minute. She went last year. I didn't go because I was in LA, and now together we're going, except we're now running the trip. Which is a lot.
Leveling up.
Yeah, leveling up from having to put our own finances out to go to Sundance. By the way, school fund us.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
And so kind of to gravitate towards another element of QFS, we recently had our fall production, so I'm curious as to what you both thought of it and how you think it stacks up to some of your guys' work, or some of QFS's work in the past.
I feel like this production, we definitely tried to get people who I would say are first years and second years to do more roles. In the past, we've had it that a lot of like upperclassmen have done some roles, and we were like, we definitely want first years to take a try. My freshman year, my first semester, Julia Schnarr, my roommate at the time, now she's my sweet mate, directed the fall production, and I was the producer on it. So we both like had two main roles, which was like very cool. And I was like, why? Like they chose me as like producer, they chose Schnarr as director. Like what was going on? And so I kind of like wanted to, and I say the rest of eBoard as well. We wanted to let these first years and second years like kind of have this experience, because last semester Michaela, who is now the secretary, she wrote and co-directed the spring production, which I mean I would say this current semester, like this one's not done yet, but so far if I was to rank all of them, I would say last semester, the spring semester is probably the best one that we've had so far.
It was very successful, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Rhode Island Film Festival.
Yeah, it placed semi-finalist at Flicker's Rhode Island Film Festival. Me and Casey actually executive produced it. So, yeah, that was something that was really fun to work on. But this production I think went very well. We kind of did something different, which was like that sign-up thing that people did. Because it used to be just like people would like call out like, oh, I want to do this, like raise your hand if you want this or this, and me and Michaela were like, let's like try this form thing and see how it works, and everyone got a role that they wanted too, which was like something that I thought was really good on this set. And also just Finn's an amazing director. And I really like the Scott Pilgrim-esque vibe that Finn was talking about, so I think this one's gonna definitely be one of the better productions, because also the one my first year, it was like I think it was like 5 minutes. Who's Kevin? Oh yeah, that one it was Schnarr's, but it ended up being 5 minutes, and I think we kind of wanted to, and Michaela's was like 16, so we were definitely like, yeah, we were like, we don't want to do a capstone length film in like 2 days, like over a weekend. So we were like, let's cap it at 10 pages. We'll do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday shoot. And it turned out really well.
I feel like we've got more scripts this year than the past years.
We had a lot of scripts to go through.
It was nice that it was capped at 10 pages because it did make it a lot easier on us. 'Cause
Yeah.
if I had to read like 5 16-page like scripts within like, I don't know, like 3-4 days, I would not be too thrilled. So I'm glad it was 10. I mean, obviously we would do it, but you know.
I also like that we did this production way earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like in the fall, in previous years we've done the fall production actually like this past weekend. Like they're usually like the first weekend of December, and it's like around finals week, and I feel like more people are stressed out, and then we don't know like if it's gonna get like edited over break, which is like kind of why we like picked Jose as the lead editor. We're like, we'll know he will get this done.
He did get it done.
Yeah, I mean he already has like the rough cut done, so now it's just like he's gonna be meeting with Ronnie, and they're gonna be going over like like basically what needs to be fixed until like the final version. But sometimes we haven't even had like production shown until like the Quinnies, and that was like the fall production.
Yeah. Not even this. I mean,
no, we had last.
No, we had
Quinnies. We had both. We showed both last at the Quinnies.
Ronnie had to like speed edit.
He was editing till like 2:00 in the morning in my room, because he was really like he was like, I really want to show this at the Quinnies. I really want to show this at the Quinnies.
He did.
And he did, and it was like it was done.
The fact that both the fall and spring production were shown as rough cuts.
Yes.
At the Quinnies really said something.
Yeah. Ronnie's just an amazing editor.
It's nothing against last year. We just wanted to do it earlier because we wanted to have we wanted them both to shine on their own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think showing the fall during the fall, at least a rough cut during the fall semester is better than just playing them kind of both back to back. Because the spring one, I mean, depends on when the Quinnies are and, like, all that stuff.
We had it late last year because I was the one planning it last year, and I was in LA. So I had it late so then I could have time to get home, sort of settle from, like, having to move across the country twice in 3 months. So I had to, like, settle a little bit. And also it was just, like, I was working, like, tirelessly day and night.
You were still working.
Until I got home. Like, through when I got home. Like, it was, like, because I had to push off a lot of my schoolwork to manage 2 internships. And also just, like, enjoy myself in LA. Because that was my priority, too. I just want to talk about one thing in LA that I did forget to talk about, actually.
What?
The coolest thing I got to do in LA wasn't meeting anyone in particular. It was I went to a midnight showing of Django Unchained at Quentin Tarantino's theater.
Oh, I heard about this.
And it was so awesome because it was on film. He only shows stuff on film. And it was like his personal copy of the film, which was really cool. But that was just like my favorite experience in LA, like getting to go to stuff like that. Like there was this other place called the Secret Movie Club. It was just in this like sketchy ass alleyway, and it was just like a movie theater, like a independently run movie theater. And I got to see a double feature of Moonlight and Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and it was awesome. That's it. I'm done talking about LA.
I mean, it's also fantastically on topic because I remember you telling people that at the fall production shoot. People were asking me about LA. Story. Yeah.
You're probably talking to Josh.
I think you were.
I'm actually very impressed with the freshmen this year. Like, I am kind of just shocked. Just like they're just all like a lot of them were just amazing. A lot of them stood out to me.
They're very like I feel like a majority of the Sundance trip is freshmen.
Yeah.
Also, like they're very enthusiastic at the club. Like I feel like they're very. Yeah, I mean...
I'm sorry, I'm distracted because that car is getting ticketed right now, and I think it's really funny.
Oh.
But yeah, no, most of the Sundance trip is freshmen, and I feel very confident about that. Cause I feel like they're also, like... They're more mature than I thought they would be.
Their applications are really good.
Oh, yeah. Especially because of, like... I don't know, I think of just, like... They were freshmen in high school when COVID started. And that's just, like...
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I feel like... Those years were so important to me, and I feel like sort of stunted. I feel like they might have been sort of stunted in a way by it, and I feel like I'm not naming people in particular. There's just a few people I still kind of feel that with, but there's also so many people who just stand out as like they are, like they went through it, but they came out stronger because of it. they're also just so passionate for film and know what they're talking about. Like, I feel like I didn't know what I was talking about until this year. And they're, like, freshmen, and they know exactly what they're talking about. And they can formulate their opinions so well, and it's really great to see.
They help to elevate your game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sort of speaking of your guys' game, I want to talk a bit about Oopsie Daisy and kind of what it means to you in your production process so far.
Oopsie daisy.
Oopsie Daisy.
So I don't know if you if we want to say the production process, that's really you, because you are the producer.
Yeah. I wrote Oopsie Daisy actually basically a year ago. I wrote it in my fall semester of my sophomore year, and I had Fritz Stodmeyer, that was my screenwriting professor. He's also my advisor.
One of my favorite people.
Yeah,
also.
he's one of my favorite film professors.
Love him.
And he's joining us on Sundance, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way, right?
In a way. Well,
Yes, he's like the advisor of Sundance. So
he's there.
Very cool.
yeah.
Sorry to cut.
No, yeah, that's fine. So he was. I think. I don't know how many people reached out to him, but I would have office hours with him like every other week talking about my
I think
script.
he just passed by in a blue car.
Did he?
If his car is blue, that was Fritz Stodmeyer.
It was. It's blue.
But yeah, I would meet with him every other week, like a year ago, and I would just keep having just meetings with him, just like, how can I improve? How can I make this better? And he like gave me a lot of good advice, because he worked like at Disney, like he worked in LA, like he knows a lot. He's also like a very good connection to have. And he basically was like walking through my script with me, and he was like, this is like really good. Like I could see this becoming a capstone. And I was like, oh, okay, like, that's cool, whatever. And then I think it's like over winter break, I get an email from him. It's like 5 days before Christmas, and he's like, hey, I actually want to put your script into the capstone pool. I was like, oh, like I'd be honored, like, and so at that time we actually started formulating our group, our capstone group. I think Ari already. We're calling Ari like the Nick Fury of our capstone group, because he's like getting all the Avengers.
Assembling the Avengers.
I can speak on that if you
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick. It kind of started with me and Nick lives together, and are very collaborative together. So Nick and I would talk about capstone group after we worked on one almost 2 years ago called Waiting for Beckett. Merolle also worked on that.
I also worked on that.
Her and I were very like, we were like friendly, but we
actually. This
we were,
is
like,
so funny.
friends, yeah.
This is like when we first met, but
yeah.
we were supposed to go on the Sundance trip together.
Yeah.
But we didn't really speak, and then
Yeah,
we
I actually
ended up.
hated you, so
Yeah. You had an Android.
I did have an Android. That was
They wouldn't let him be in the Sundance group chat because he had an Android, so he had to like join with his Mac. But
Wow.
anyway,
Yeah, that's true.
this is like getting really into when we met each other. But we were all in the same acting class. Casey was also in the same acting class. That was a class.
That class
One of the classes.
sucked.
Yeah, it was me, Ari, Casey, Siobhan. She was actually the previous secretary before me on QFSC board, and then Ronnie and Michaela. We were all in this acting class, and me and Ari got paired up together for like the first project. So we had to like meet to practice it. So we're on this capstone set with like these actors, and we're like, guys, we can't do this. You need to help us. Like we're talking to like the actors on this capstone set. We're like, we cannot like.
We are bad actors.
Yeah, it was like it was like the shortest conversation. It was like really stupid, but like we were like how do we do this?
There's a reason we're on the QFSE board, not the fourth wall board. Because
Yeah.
neither of us can act.
Yeah, so we were like practicing lines on the set of Waiting for Beckett, and then we just became friends after that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, all of us, like he would give us rides back to Ledges because that's where we lived.
For the context, so the theater building is not connected to anything on campus. It's
Yeah, we have to take the shuttle, which the shuttles were. I don't know how they are this year because I have my own car, but they were not very reliable.
very
at all.
inconsistent.
Are they not
Would not
consistent
show up
either?
for like
Okay,
hours.
so yeah, they wouldn't show up. So we had to go all the way to theater building, which only certain shuttles would take you to. Anyways, so Casey would drive me there, and then Ari would drive me back to campus. So I was just getting like a free ride because we didn't have cars.
I was there with your Sal Vulcano shirt.
Yes.
So
So Sal was supposed to come for Wake the Giant, and I got a Sal Vacano shirt, and then he got COVID, so he never came.
I drove her to the mail center to get that after class one day. But so the group kind of started because of that, and then Kira, our director, I've been friends with her also since freshman year. So I asked her, like, "What do you want to do?" She's like, "What do you want me to do then?" I'm like, "Do you want to direct?" And she's like, "Yes." She's an actor first.
Yeah.
And she's using her acting skills in her directing style, and it really is so unique. I think the big thing about Oopsie Daisy, going back to Oopsie Daisy before I finish the story, the big thing with Oopsie Daisy that I love about it so much is that it feels like very, it's very character driven and very like written driven, like dialogue driven. And I feel like other capstones kind of hide their dialogue or kind of try to mask it with like cool shots or whatever, and they're like kind of afraid of it. And I feel like ours is like we're going all in because the writing is really good and it's really just a story about people, and I feel like emphasizing that those people is just so important. So that's what I'm really excited for. But anyway, and I feel like Kira's gonna help do that really well. So anyway, we had Kira in the group. Lexi's was also one of our friends. We had Lexi in the group, and then from there it's like we're trying to find an editor. We stole Holly from another group. We stole Holly.
Did you?
Yeah, she was originally supposed to be Will's editor, and we stole Holly.
That's.
It's okay. Will
shrewd businessman.
Will was understanding about. Well, Holly's just like.
I didn't.
It's not that. It's like Holly never formally committed. If that helps.
Well, I was like, I was one of the last people to join the group.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They were just like talking about it, and then I'm like, "Oh, Holly, do you want to like be?" She's like, "I was talking to Will a little bit, but I'm not sure." And I'm like, Kira's directing, and I know you're like Kira." She's like, "I like Kira," and then she joined our group. Pretty much. No, it's not exactly.
Who was last to join, me or Ryan?
It was you, Ryan, because I knew Ryan from Quinnipiac Tonight, so Ryan. I actually asked him. I thought he wanted to be producer, and I actually asked him originally to be producer. And he's like, "I don't know if I want to." And he actually, so he's our AD, and then I'm like, I asked Merolle last because I actually really wanted to ask her for the entirety of the fall semester, but I'm like,
he thought I was taken by another group.
I thought you were gonna work with the people
with
the people you live with. Yeah, I feel that just makes sense. So, but then I was like, oh, like, would you be interested in possibly producing for us? She's like, oh yeah.
I got asked by 3 different groups, which there's 6 capstone.
Yeah.
There's 7 because there's a doc group, but there's 6 capstone groups. I got asked by 3 different groups to be their producer, and I've worked with my suite mates a lot, and I was like, I want to try something different. I want to try, I want to maybe work with other creative partners and just try it out, because right now it's college, we're supposed to be experimenting, and I kind of did that, the same thing with like my film camp. Like I tried a different film camp, so I was like, I've worked with these guys all like throughout my time here, I'm gonna try to be with a different group, and so I joined this group, and then I ended up actually having the script for it, because we formed our group before, like a year before Capstone. Some people were still forming their groups on the day that Capstone started.
Our group was finalized before I left for LA.
Yeah.
Which was really nice, because I didn't have to stress about it. That was the big thing, was like, I want to finalize this before Nick and I go to LA, because if we don't do that, then we're going to be stressing about it the entire time, and people are also not going to be seeing us all the time, so they're not going to...
They're going to like forget, maybe.
Yeah. They're not going to... Yeah, exactly. Also, going back to the Holly thing real quick, because I'm just thinking about that. I think it worked out really well, because Luca is also a really good editor, and he's their editor. So I'm glad it just all worked out in the end for everyone, because...
Also, I feel like Will and Luca are pretty good friends.
Will and Luca are pretty good friends. Luca was... It's kind of complicated. I think Luca was originally going to do a different role. I can't really speak on their group, because I'm not in their group, but... Yeah. So we'll go back to our group instead.
Yeah. I don't even know where we... But basically, the same time that I finished writing the script and that it got picked for the capstone pool by Fritz was the same time that I joined their group.
I mean, we were like, when we had to decide on the script over the summer, we were going to have like 3 other people we're going to like, in our group, we're going to submit scripts to, and we're going to have to decide between all of them. But then it's just like, Oopsie Daisy is already approved, 1, but
yeah, so
2, it's just
Nick had like 2 or 3 scripts. Kira had a script, and then she didn't want to do her script, so then
I think Oopsie Daisy just made the most sense, because it's just like, it's kind of like the perfect student film because it's like
Yeah.
I think it's just perfect film, period, obviously. But I think just like as a student film, it's like we don't need to do anything crazy or complicated for it. There's no like crazy shots that are needed. There's no crazy locations that are needed. It's just like it's very tangible, if that makes sense.
And also, when we were in our capstone class, Ashley Brandon and David Atkins, they were both saying, because people were actually writing their scripts like first week, and we're editing them till now. But ours was already approved and like finished a year ago. Of course, it's been through a lot of revisions since.
The big thing is when they dropped on us, hey, we're filming in winter, so you can't actually do anything with flowers.
Yeah.
Because originally it was just supposed to be.
It was actually, there's a lot that's changed in the script, but anyways, they were like, you guys should write something that's like close to you, that means a lot to you, and that's kind of what this film was. This film, I kind of wrote it about all of my grandparents, which I don't know if I told anyone that, but
I don't think you.
My grandma.
Your family though.
It's mostly about my family, and then we also incorporated Noah being Jewish, because we thought that was gonna work best instead of.
The only that changed because when we said we can't do flowers, I said,
what if we do rocks?
Yeah, in Judaism you put stones on people's graves instead of flowers. It's kind of like to keep them on the earth, but also like
flowers die.
Flowers die. These stones will not. So it's just like, so that's the reason where I came from. But it's also like it's a story element, and it just works out that he's Jewish, and it's not anything. I feel like right now, I'm not going to get into it at all, but being Jewish is a political thing right now, and I feel like it's just nice because Noah is Jewish just because he's Jewish, and it's actually a vital story plot element, which is really nice. Anyway.
Yeah, the film, without, going into, like, mostly about the film, but...
no spoilers.
I would say that all of the characters are kind of based on, like, real people in my life, and... the script's based on, again, like certain stories from my family, and, like I would say mostly my grandparents. I see May very much in, my grandfather who passed away 2 years ago, and then, May is also the middle name of my grandmother, which is why I picked that, and then I also see a bit of Noah and Elizabeth in myself. So
I feel like the most personal stories are the best stories.
Yeah.
I feel like I can also relate with my grandparents too, and May. I feel like May represents my grandfather who passed away for similar reasons. So I feel like it's just like we're all very emotionally connected into this film, and it's really helps us.
It's just like a slice of life film. It's very like personal. It's a very bittersweet story, and I feel like. Some capstones in the past and all of that stuff, you see like them trying to like accomplish these crazy things. I feel like this one's so simple. There's only like 3 actors. There's only 3 locations, and we actually locked all of our we have all of our locations locked, which is so awesome. I actually just I locked the one Airbnb yesterday.
That was really great to see. That really I was like, oh my god,
like it's actually happening now. Like this is crazy.
I got it.
And yeah, I mean, just producing this film, I feel like writing and producing such a good combination because I kind of know every detail about the script, and I feel like when you're producing, you kind of need to know that. You need to know the locations, you need to know, like, what you need to get the actors, because producing literally a little bit of everything. That's actually what I was told when I was talking to, Jenny, and I was also talking to one of my film camp teachers and also, I think, film professors. I think I was talking to Blythe, and I was like, yeah, I want to be a producer. And she's like, that's a lot. Like, that's probably one of, like, the hardest jobs. You need to know how to do everything. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I think it's just such a good combination. Because I feel like writing, like, it goes off to the director. But I feel like I also, as writer and producer, I have some type of say in it, which is a good thing. And I also think it's so great to have the writer on your capstone team, because I know some capstones, they just like have the scripts in the pool by like people who aren't film students, or because they have like some English classes or whatever, and people who aren't doing capstone right now. I think it's just so important to just have the writer on your team as well, so that their vision gets done perfectly.
I'm actually not a big fan of director writer being the same person. I feel like it just gets very. I feel like it's too much power in a way. I mean, I feel like it depends on the person too, on who they are as a filmmaker. But I feel like most of the time it doesn't work.
At least for a student.
For a
film.
student film. I
Yeah.
think. Like for sometimes you have
yeah,
to.
you're nodding.
Sometimes you have to, but there's other. I feel like the best capstone groups I've seen the past couple of years, their director and their writer are two separate people, and I feel like that's really is what enhances the films.
Like Casey's film last year, that was my favorite film. That was my favorite capstone film, and Seta was this screenwriter. So
and the Seta was the editor.
And then Waiting for Beckett, Ben was
Ben wrote it, and he was the
DP. So
yeah,
I feel like the only groups this year that aren't writing directing is our group and Relentless Reflection.
Yeah,
because they're some groups have co-writers, but Michaela's the writer, but she's the assistant director. So
but anyway, also just in general though, I feel like I think I'm really excited to just make this movie be the best it could be. I mean, also you said you want to do everything, so you get to hold the camera then. I don't have to anymore. Great.
I just meant like a little bit of everything. Like,
a little bit of everything.
Like you have to know like so much.
Oh, you're just trying to get out of holding the camera, I think.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to hold the camera.
I'll hold the camera.
I don't want to direct. I'm like
kind
of like that's Kira's.
You can be boom bitch. That's what's gonna happen on set.
No, that's Nick.
No, Nick gets to turn the thing. Anyway, no, I was kidding, but I don't know, especially because we had to do a lot of our pre-production stuff. We did send it to Merolle by yesterday, so I was finalizing everything yesterday. Like I was finalizing, I did like the first. I like fully shot listed the first couple scenes. I did the storyboard for the first scene, and I like did the lookbook and all that. Yeah.
Casey's like we're on top of our stuff.
And I do like the look, and
we're like all set. Right?
I like a 30 image lookbook, and just looking through the lookbook, I'm just like, and like looking through the lookbook and the shot list and everything, I'm like finally able to visualize this properly in my head, because I've had ideas throughout the past 2 months of like shots and stuff, like individual shots and like kind of how I want certain things to look from the script, but actually putting it into fruition, it's really nice.
And also just after, of course, like looking at your lookbook and having the script locked, and also finally like booking that house, like I'm ready. Like this house is like, by the way, it's like for context, this house is like an old Victorian house. It's so beautiful. Like the owner treats it so well. She was so nice. She was like messaging me. She was like, I'm a retired like art teacher. Like I of course will help you guys. Like she had a fee that was like for filmmaking on her thing. It was like it was so high.
$800.
It was like $800 a night. And I was like, can you, like, we're students. We obviously can't pay that. She literally gave it to us discounted. Like, we have 2 locations for free. We paid for that one. Like, we paid a discounted rate for this one. Like,
we're just
I can visual, like, this film's going to be so good. Like, just, like, after even booking that location, like, this house is so amazing.
It's all on me now to make it look good. It's literally all on me now to make it look good.
No pressure.
No pressure. Yeah. It feels like, it doesn't feel like luck, though. It feels like we're all working so hard, especially Merolle. Merolle works so hard, and I feel like we're finally just, like, getting the rewards of our hard work.
Positive results.
Yeah.
Yes.
From hard work.
And Kira has a connection with an old music teacher. He's going to, like, do the composing for our film, so that's already a connection. Because we were looking at, like, composer fees, and there's so much money. It's like $100 a minute to have like their music played.
I'm not gonna lie. Probably, I feel like the professional composers, I feel like they're also not gonna be very personal and not gonna understand what we want.
We're already meeting with this guy over break. Like he already knows like the vibe of the film. Like she sent him our Scene Spark page, and he seems like he knows how to play like every instrument. Like I feel like we're using all of our connections like right now to make sure that we get like the best possible thing. Like I'm getting our catering for a discount because I know somebody. We have like 2 free locations. One of them is a cemetery. That's because I have relatives buried there. Like it's a good thing to like use all your connections now.
feel like I can't do that as a DP, but my connection is I mean I guess I used to work in the equipment room, so I just know what to take out. I guess.
Yeah.
That's really it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Donate to Oopsie Daisy on Seedens Park, or else we'll I don't know, or just or else.
We're at currently, I think we have 20 days left, and we're already over 50%, which is really amazing. Just like all the support we've been getting too, is so cool. I've had a bunch of people like reach out, and they're like, "This film looks like it's gonna be really good." I'm like, "Thank you."
I'm very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, because even before hearing what you guys had to say, I really appreciated what I saw from your promotional materials, because the film looks very humanistic, and it's something I really enjoy. And I had a grandfather whom I was very close with that passed away a year ago, so I very much understand where you're coming from, and I very much kind of can visualize the story that you're trying to tell. I'm very excited for what
that's what we're going
like.
for. We just want people who can relate, to really just like, I guess, sink their teeth into this movie and kind of just like, I guess maybe it's therapeutic in a way, kind of like we all go through similar things and we all can feel similar things together. I feel like that's.
Yeah, I mean, the film's a lot about like you never know what's going on in someone else's life, and also that there is just like, it's kind of like coming to terms with reality, and I guess loss and death in a way.
I think it's just like different portrayals of grief. It's
Yeah.
just like someone's grieving about someone who's already gone, someone else is grieving about someone who is kind of just like slowly losing themselves. I guess like you're losing you're watching the person that you know be gone, I guess, in real time, and it's just like it's grieving in different ways. I think that's really the big thing.
Yeah, like my mom read it, and she was reading like the first and second scene, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're gonna make me like cry," because it's very emotional, and also like we unfortunately just had to deal with like the death of my grandmother over the summer, and this film's like a lot about her as well, and my mom was like my mom might cry at capstone screening, but she was like she like texted me after reading it, and she was like, "This is so amazing, like I love you, like this is like you're gonna be so like you're going to be like someone amazing like in the industry, like this will get you there."
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you will succeed.
Yeah, I mean,
creating an emotional film.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can submit this to a lot of festivals. I mean, that's what making this is that you submit it to
Jewish film festivals. Let's go.
Yeah. So
like what Steven Spielberg told you, Jewish cinema.
Jewish cinema is so important. No, we're not represented enough in the media. I mean, and this is the first step for me in just like kind of doing what I want to do with my life, which is not create specific content around Jewish people, but just have Jewish characters and tell Jewish stories through our normal consumption media. So it doesn't seem just normalizing it, I guess.
Incredible. And staying on the topic of film festivals, I know we already talked a bit about Sundance, but I was kind of just wanted to ask you guys kind of about your excitement for it and perhaps any fun stories you've had from the past.
Hitman. I'm so excited for Hitman. Richard Linklater is one of my favorite filmmakers, so I'm so excited to see that. I've been waiting for that movie for a while, so be able to hopefully, I if I'm in the vicinity of that premiere, I will be there. So, ticket or not. So,
I don't know. I'm excited for a bunch. I really haven't gotten to look at them. Like, I know Poppins like sent them in the group chat, but I've just been so like busy with like capstone stuff. And I think Jen like came up to me. Jen's one of my sweet mates, and she was like, "All right, we're going to see the Pedro Pascal one. We're going to see the Jesse Eisenberg one." I was like, "All right." Like,
Jesse Eisenberg one looks good.
It does look good. I love Kieran Culkin also.
I read it. I read the description of it. I didn't even know they were in it because I was right on it when they came out. I was on the website before the images were all up already. So I was just reading. I read the descriptions for every single movie.
I couldn't even load the website. I had to read it through the email that they sent me because I'm like on their list.
I was at work and I was like, my work doesn't matter. This is Sundance. Also, the Will Ferrell one looks really good. There's one.
We saw him last year. I think Kate Turner saw him last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hmm.
You saw it. You saw him last year too. Yeah.
What was he-
Behind
what-
Eccles, right?
What was
yeah.
he promoting? What was his film last year?
Yeah.
His theater camp. This year, his film is like it's him. It seems like a doc, but I think it's narrative. It's about him and his friend who comes out as trans, and it's just kind of like
Oh, yeah, that's right.
they go on a road trip together, and it's like the next step of their relationship. It's like
Interesting.
the next stage of the relationship, and they're just of their friendship, and they're just.
I definitely want to see
talking.
that one.
I'm very excited for that one.
I didn't see enough docs last year. I saw like one doc.
Fire of Love was the doc I saw actually when I went in 2022. Not last year, the year before.
I
when
saw
went.
that on, I think it was Disney Plus. I had to
It's
watch it for my documentary class.
So good.
It was very
It is one of my.
It was
favorite
giving me
movies
anxiety though.
of that year. I
They
saw
were,
it at like 3 in the
They're
morning.
standing next to, so it's like about like
Do you want me to say the description?
what's their job called?
So the whole thing is they're volcanologists.
yeah, I didn't know what the name.
They're
of it was.
volcanologists. They're a couple, and they go and chase volcanic eruptions, and they study them, and all the footage of the movie.
It's archival footage.
It's all archival footage. It's all shot on film by them of real volcanoes in the 90s.
and
It's gorgeous.
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I
Yeah.
think I know how the story ends.
Well, if they're going up to volcanoes,
You can put 2 and 2 together.
yes. So, anyways, they're like, I had to watch this on Disney Plus, but anyways, they're like standing next to like a volcano just erupting, like just straight up, like fire spewing everywhere. And I was like, my chest was hurting. I was like, oh my god, like I'm getting anxiety from this, like, cause I know what ends up happening. Like, do they show it on camera? Like, I was so shocked. All of us were watching. I think it was like me, Schnar, Kuzmenko, Ronnie, Michaela. Because we're all in this documentary class and we were watching and we're like, oh my god, like we were like, this is giving us so much anxiety, which is like, it means that the film did its job.
Yeah.
Like,
If the film makes you feel something, it's doing something right.
yeah,
Positive
So-
or negative.
yeah, that was a really interesting documentary.
It was one of my favorite movies of that year. I watched it in the worst scenario though, because when I went it was really fully online. There was no in-person screenings, so we had like once a screening comes available, you have like 24 hours to watch it. It was like 3 in the morning, and it was expiring at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or something. So we watched it at 3 in the morning on like a tiny little bedroom TV. We're all crowded around on the bed. People were falling asleep. It was like 4 of us. People were like falling asleep. But me and my friend Zoe, we just stayed up for the whole time, and it was just like so, I don't know, so surreal, I guess. And then we like slept for 2 hours, woke up at 7 in the morning, and watched Shrek 2 for some reason.
Let's go.
I know.
You watched the greatest movie ever.
My favorite.
No,
movie.
the number one movie, not even number one. The
Number
number zero.
zero.
The number 0 movie of all time is Mamma Mia. There's no
Shrek 2.
any ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's a fact.
Yeah, but I think like funny because so I was supposed to go on that year, but I dropped out like a week before I was supposed to go, and Ben Darling actually bought my ticket, but but I went last year, and I think one of the craziest memories I had was that it was me, Casey, and Mike Hanley. You know what I'm gonna tell?
Yes, that's my
We were waiting online for one of the, I have the movie in my letterbox, but I can't remember it right now. It was like
landscape of
that landscape.
yeah.
And it was like the premiere. And we didn't have any tickets. We're like, all right, let's just wait on the line. Because actually, this is funny, but like during the time that everyone was like buying tickets, I was on a call for my internship, and like everything sold out. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But we go to Eccles Theater, which is like the big theater. It's actually a high school, but we go there and we're waiting in line for the because we wanted to get merch. And so all of our friends go in because they all had tickets for it. And I think like Tiffany Haddish was there and a couple other celebrities. I just remember her mostly. But we get approached by this woman. It was me, Mike, Hanley, and Casey. We're all standing under one of these like heaters. And this woman approaches us and she's like, "Are you guys students?" And we're like, "Yeah." She's like, "Do you want to go in? I have 3 extra tickets." And there was 3 of us. And we were like, okay. She brings us in, lets us scan the tickets. She's like, where are you guys from? We're like, oh, we're from, we're on a school trip. We're from Quinnipiac University. She goes, oh, I'm from Connecticut. She just let us go in, and then we find our friends sit in the front. I'm sitting, like, I think Tiffany Haddish was, like, 10 seats down from me in the same row, and I hear her laughing during the movie. Then we get, they get up, and for the Q&A, she's standing right on stage, and I took a picture, and it looks like right at my phone. And we got in for free because this lady had the tickets.
It's awesome.
I know.
It's a miracle.
That was, like, one of my craziest memories. And then there was another, so I got that ticket for free. And then somebody approached me online for the theater camp screening that, again, all my friends were online for, but I didn't have the ticket. So I was like, all right, I'm going to wait. I think I'm, like, number 2 in line or 3 or something because there was 2 people in front of me. Anyways, this dude approaches me. He's like, hey, you want a ticket? I'm like, yeah, sure. He transfers it through my phone. I just cut the line. And then I get into the theater camp screening. I was like, that's crazy.
One of my favorite movies of this year so far. I'm not gonna lie.
Theater camp was really
like
good.
Theater camp.
But I was at like the midnight screening, and I like woke up really early that day, and I was like halfway through the movie, I was like falling asleep with like Anthony Guadagna. We were like both falling asleep, and then something was funny. And then we were like, oh, we wake up and like laugh in the middle of the movie. And I distinctly remember taking a Uber home with Sam Shaw and Michael Katzflin. That was like at 2 a.m. It was so crazy. And then I guess another memory I had is like we all went snow tubing. I don't know if I'm gonna go again this year because I did it last year, but I forgot my gloves, so my hands were like purple coming out of the snow tubing thing. Anthony also forgot his gloves.
There's a 0% chance that we're gonna be in Utah and there's snow tubing, and I'm not making you go on a tube with me down the hill, so you don't have a choice.
It was like a lot of money though. That was the thing. But yeah, my hands were like purple. So that was also just like really funny. And also I think just like this is just like a general Sundance thing, but I became friends with like so many people after that.
Yeah, same here.
Just because you're with them for like a week. No, like you don't know anyone else really, except for these people. Like, I think, like me, like Sam Shaw. Like I love Sam Shaw. Like she.
How can you not?
Yeah, like Sam Shaw was on that trip. She like I got to know her better. I got to know Rada, Alex Bean, just like a lot of people on that trip. Like I got to know them. Like Anthony.
Grace Doyle is one of my closest friends, and we met because of Sundance.
Yeah, Sundance. Like Sundance, really like I think Sundance actually like made the whole like Koza, Rada, Alex Bean friend group.
Oh yeah,
like,
it did.
Yeah, that's what happened. They like went to all these like films together, and now they're like best friends.
Your Tiffany Haddish story reminded me of a story. I'm gonna substitute one of my Sundance stories. No, I don't have a lot of Sundance stories because we didn't really.
Because you were virtual, yeah.
I don't have a lot of Sundance stories that I can share on this podcast. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
So I'm gonna share a quick that she reminded me of. One of the scariest moments of my life was at the Ted Lasso season 3 premiere, and Tim Cook was sitting 10 rows behind, or like 5. So he was sitting behind me pretty much. He was sitting like 10 rows behind me, give or take. And just the mere presence of this multi-billion-dollar man, a little intimidating. I don't get intimidated by people usually. He was intimidating, but I went up to him because I went to the bathroom. I think that night I went to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom like 4 times. So I went to the bathroom and I walked by him and I started, if you can ask one of the richest men in the world one thing, what would you ask? I'm curious what you guys would ask, and then I'll say what I would ask. What would you ask Tim Cook if you could ask him a question?
Dude, I have no idea.
What kind of drove you to be so successful?
That's a good one.
I asked him about skeuomorphism. Skeuomorphism is like before like iOS like 8, before iOS 8, when it was like super like realistic looking. That's what I asked him about. Because if you could ask the richest man in the world one thing, I just asked him about skeuomorphism. I don't remember the exact wording of my question, but it was just like, how do you feel about skeuomorphism, and why did Apple like stem away from it? Because it made them so unique, and I kind of love them for that. And I think they're really bland now. Like the UI is so bland, and it makes me sad. But yeah, and his answer was just some BS corporate like media response, and I was really sad. So I don't really talk about that story that much but I do just because like getting to talk to Tim Cook, it's just like, yeah, it's skeuomorphism. Also, that same night, for some reason, when I was waiting in line to get in the premiere, I went to the bathroom in the California Pizza Kitchen, and sitting there eating a pineapple pizza is George Costanza himself, Jason Alexander. He's just eating a pizza with like some other comedian that I don't remember the name of, and then the last thing I'll say, then I'll go to Sundance stuff, is that they were filming Curb Your Enthusiasm in like level, like the place that the school has you stay. They were just filming the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm there, and I got kind of annoyed because they were using the valet area, and I needed my car, and I had to use valet because I bought a parking spot. You had to buy a parking spot at this place, and I got there, and they're like, "Yeah, we're out of parking spots, but we'll upgrade you to valet for free." So I had valet for 3 months.
Oh, that's cool.
And I could like do it from my phone. So I was like, my routine was in the morning. I would be in the bathroom, and I would just like set my car for pickup. But
I actually have one more Sundance story.
you should say your Sundance story because I'm saying LA stuff now.
I want to hear all of them.
I don't know, Casey, if you're with us, but we were walking by Java Cow. No. Well, actually, I have two now that I'm thinking about it. We're walking by Java Cow. Schnar, did you go inside? Yes. Casey and Schnar go inside, and I think someone else might have, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get coffee or whatever." And Java Cow's like this cafe on Main Street, and the rest of us are all waiting outside, and I have like my camera, and I'm like taking pictures and videos and like all this stuff just like on Main Street. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt walks by us on the sidewalk while Casey and like Shannara are like inside, and Michael Rada goes up to him and he's like, "Are you?" And he goes, "No." He just cuts. He's like, "No," and he's like, "Sorry, man, gotta go." And then his like wife like waved at all of us, but we were just like on the street, and he just like walked by us and was just like, "No, I'm not him. Like I'm not Joseph Gordon-Levitt." When it was.
That's a rookie move. You don't ask who they are. You just figure it out. You just figure it out while you're talking to them.
Yeah, and then he just like walked down. He had like one security guy and like his wife, but it was so crazy. And then my other story is that we went to a panel, which I actually saw Debbie Ryan and Josh Dunn there. Josh Dunn's the drummer for 21 Pilots, and I've been to like 2 of those concerts in high school. But
Sorry, who said that?
I don't listen to them anymore. But anyways, I recognized his hair, like he like dyes it sometimes, and I
he's the guy with the red hair.
Yeah, so he's the one that like dyes his hair, and then Debbie Ryan, you know who that is. So I saw both of them, and I think I was the only one they let in, and everyone else was waiting outside at the panel, and they were like, "Oh, you can sit in this other room and watch the panel happen, but you can't go in it." And I was like, "Okay," so I'm just literally sitting in like one of the front rows at this panel, like by myself, and everyone else is like in the other room. They finally open this like row up, so everyone walks in. So like Koza, Rada, Alex Bean, Casey, like everyone's now walking in and sits in like the front row of this panel. The person giving like who's narrating the panel is Ahmed Best, aka Jar Jar Binks, which was so crazy. He's like an adjunct professor at like Stanford, which I did not know. And anyways, they give like this like crazy like panel, right? Then we all leave afterwards. And then we're waiting outside, and Ahmed Best walks out, and Rada and Koza and I think Alex Bean and Anthony all got pictures with him, and they were like, "Yo, we love you," like all this stuff. And then I remember we sent a picture of Ahmed Best in the group me, and Michael Katz Flynn's like, "Who's that?" And someone said, Casey was like, "Samuel Jackson." And he's like, "What? You met Samuel Jackson?" But it was not Samuel Jackson, and I don't know like how like he
didn't realize that.
No, he like did not realize for like a long time. and then we were like I don't know. Someone like told him later that it wasn't Samuel Jackson. Yeah, it was so funny. Like we were all like standing there, and he was just reacting. He was like, "Oh my God, Samuel Jackson." We were like, "It's not," but that was so funny. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh man.
I kind of, I'm gonna be honest. I always hate to like. I guess the right metaphor for this is yuck people's yum. I kind of hate celebrity culture. I'm not gonna lie. Like even in LA, I would just be like talking to them like normal people, because I feel like this is like what people want. But I also like I was using these conversations not to be like, "Oh my God, I'm such a big fan," because what's that gonna do?
Yeah.
I use those opportunities to ask them questions about what they're doing.
Because it kind of places you against it, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
Where you want to sort of put yourself on a sort of equal playing field in the sense of asking them questions and trying to learn.
Well, I think they also appreciate being talked to like normal people.
Oh yeah, one of the
100%. I think I don't know who I was talking to once, but I think it might have been like Jimmy Fallon. I've actually like met him like twice. And yeah, weird story. He was like at my cousin's school play, in like middle school, but I was just like,
I would have lost my mind. I love Jim.
I have a picture with
I
him.
loved Jimmy Fallon. I would still love to meet Jimmy Fallon. I think he's a very cool dude, but like back then, like I had like the thank you notes book and everything. I would watch Tonight Show religiously, all that.
Anyways, like I just like learned that like I think that was like my first real like celebrity encounter, and I realized that like he was very quiet. Like he was not like himself at all on the show, which of course like I can understand. But I realized like then and there, like they just want to be treated normally.
Oh yeah, like my cousin's a freshman at USC right now, and so my cousin's in one of the frats, and he was at he was at one of the frat parties.
Was that the Will Ferrell one again?
No, he looks over and Bronny James, like LeBron James Jr. is there, and he's just like not. He's very very quiet to himself. He's kind of standing there like. I don't think he was drinking anything or whatever. I think he was just like on his phone. He was just out, but he was at like a massive outside frat party, just like on his phone to himself. Because I feel like it's for someone like that, it's just hard to trust people, and that's like the big thing. Like I feel like an idealness is like being very successful in my field. If I'm ever really successful in my field of film, I kind of want to be known on the level of like, I guess the level of like. Maybe right below Ryan Johnson. I think if Ryan Johnson is like, when we left the Writers Guild after we were talking with him, there was just mad people like right outside holding Star Wars Last Jedi posters, and I'm like, I don't really want that, but like I want people who are like, who know about film, to I guess if I like to be inspired to have a conversation with me about film if they just see me. That's kind of like the level of like celebrity I would want to be.
So like someone who's in the know.
Someone who's in the know would know who I am and would come up to me and start talking to me about movies or asking me advice about movies or whatever. Like I feel like I would appreciate that because I feel like if my career doesn't work out as film, I feel like I'd be open to being like a professor or something or like a teacher.
I can see that.
That's kind of like my thing.
You also just reminded me about like the LeBron James thing, but I went to high school with this girl, and her dad is like very famous in the industry. I'm not going to say his name because now he's a very controversial topic in the industry, but
you'll tell me later.
I think I already told you, but
Probably
anyways,
did.
He bought like, basically people were like fake friends with her, so that, cause he bought like the whole grade, like tickets to go to the like Jingle Ball in like New York, and they got like backstage passes. They like met like the Chainsmokers. This is like 7th grade.
Were you part of that or?
No.
Oh.
No. I sat next to her in chorus class, but I really like kept to myself. Like I didn't really like, everyone was just like friends to be like, cause she like had a famous dad.
Yeah.
But she was like very like, now she's like very reserved and quiet, obviously, because of what happened. But
that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, like people were just kind of just using her for her like dad's fame. It was like really messed up, especially that young. Like she was like 12 years old.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I'll finish this off saying the Sundance story because it's all leading to that. And then, so my one Sundance story I could have is my favorite day of Sundance was just like the day we went tubing. It was great. That's why I kind of wanted to do it again.
That's like the only thing you did.
That was the only thing we did. Yeah, we didn't have anything
We actually
to do.
like, because Casey went to both, so she can say like we definitely like our year, like we were all over like nonstop. Like I feel like you guys were definitely more in the house during your year, but
I'll say this: I'm excited for Sundance this year. But if I wasn't the president of Quinnipiac Film Society and had to run the trip, I probably would not go to Sundance this year.
Really?
Well,
see,
I'm poor. I'm broke. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to Sundance, and then I'm also going to France in May. And my parents are like, bruh. I was like, well, I have to go to Sundance. I don't think you understand. Like, I'm running the trip.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. We are going to Sundance, which is fine. I'm happy to go to Sundance. I'm happy to run the trip. I'm glad I got to meet a lot of.
Well, I think you also like this year because it's different than what you first experienced.
I'm excited. No, I'm excited. But yeah, I just really liked tubing. That was a really fun day. I distinctly remember the one thing I'll say about tubing is I distinctly remember we were at the bottom of the hill. It was me, my friend Grace, me and Grace Doyle, she was on the show. So me and
Yes.
Grace,
Episode 2.
episode 2, me and Grace, and then my friends Dom, Dominique, Dom, and
Dom
Zoe,
Durant,
and Zoe were standing there. And I don't know why we were just standing there. We were just standing there. I think we were talking about, like, we were going to go, we were like, it's like towards the end of the day, we're like, we're going to go get food after this. We did. We ended up going to this really nice, like, bar, and it was really, like, pub, because we were under, some of us were under 21, being me. So we went to a nice bar, or whatever, and we just, like, had good pub food or whatever. But we're standing there, and then all of a sudden we hear screaming, and we look over, and it's Ben Darling going down the Kitty Hill out of control, and it just crashes into a fence.
Oh my god.
And it's really,
I can
there's
picture
no
that.
video of this, because then
No.
because you know what Ben Darling tried to do after? He tried to recreate it because it was so funny. I'm like, this, and have us film it. I'm like, this is so unfunny now, but it was funny in the moment because it was him screaming, and we look over, and he just right into the fence. So that's my big Sundance story, because I didn't really do that much a year. We watched some movies. I watched Shrek 2. I said the big thing, which was the Fire of Love Shrek 2 situation, and yeah, that's it.
We
Awesome.
watched Step Brothers after seeing Will Ferrell. It was just like in spirit that
In
we
spirit?
had to.
Oh, so like
That was really funny though.
when Rada got like shunned by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, did he just was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch Don John in honor of it?
We just kept talking about that for the rest of the trip though. That was just crazy to us. And then
They're
I
not
think-
nice. Not everyone's
who
nice.
was I with? I think I
Mhm.
was with like Jamie and Shnar. And I don't know, like Anne Hathaway was like getting into like one of the Acuras because it was like the sponsor car. Oh, and I heard Ben Platt singing at karaoke in the
That's awesome.
in the Acura tent. That's right. Yeah, because we were going to get pizza and noodles, and I was like, who's singing karaoke? And then someone was like, oh my god, it's Ben Platt singing. So I had literally a video on my phone of like his voice like singing karaoke in the Acura tent.
That's awesome. I'll finally have stories. You know what? Ask me this again next year, and I'll actually have stories. Because all my
Will do.
stories that I just said were from LA, so it doesn't really matter.
Which is
I
fine.
mean, it's still stuff I want. It's still stuff I want to hear about.
Okay, it works out then. I guess I'll say the last LA thing. I guess it's just so you can ask your next question, because I know you're about to. Rivers Cuomo, I met him also. I met Rivers Cuomo and Patton Oswalt back to back at the Ted Lasso premiere. Rivers
Love
Cuomo,
Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt was really nice. We were just talking about like
He's a cool dude.
we were talking about like nerd stuff. I'm not gonna lie, because we were just talking about like
Talk about whatever you want.
we were just talking about like comics and stuff. It was cool. We were just talking about like this. I guess just like the current landscape of just like superhero movies and stuff. And he was just a really cool dude. But I talked to Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer of Weezer, and he was the nicest dude because we started talking. And at first I kind of just started like saying like Weezer is really important to me in high school. Like I listen to Weezer all the time. And then I was kind of nervous because like it's Rivers Cuomo, and I feel I kind of took myself into like I was 15 again. And I accidentally quoted a song to him, but it was a Stroke song and not a Weezer song, and it was really embarrassing, but he was really nice about it. And then we just kept talking about like music and just how important it is and all that stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, you can mess up your celebrity interactions, I guess, and then you can come back.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll let you get back to it.
Yeah.
Went off tangent.
Oh no, I mean this just makes me more excited for Sundance and Q in LA.
That's exciting.
So kind of to continue on, what's your goals with QFS, and where would you want to see it moving forwards?
If we can keep this really brief, I mean, if you want to take this.
I can take this one. We want QFS to. Our big thing was kind of keeping attendance. This year we kind of struggled with that in the past. I won't lie, but we definitely seen like change already this year. I mean, I guess like our big thing again, like hopefully like Sundance makes people like come back in the spring, because we
That's kind of why we're pushing attendance.
Yeah,
that's more
'cause
than anything. Cause
losing like people after Sundance, like it happens like every single year.
it's very detrimental to the club. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, we kind of just want to keep that spirit up, and then I guess also just like another thing, I think we're gonna try and do some type of collab with Fourth Wall
Yeah.
for Quinnies, because those they have like their Bonanza, I think
Yeah.
it's called.
Just so happened that last year it was around the same.
It was on
time,
the
'cause
same
it
day
was
the
late.
Quinnies, so we want to combine it, and we also kind of want to do like a admitted students type of thing for Quinnies. So it's like but Jose actually showed up to the Quinnies last year.
Yeah.
because we like invited admitted students, like I guess like first years, to like come to the Quinnies and like see like what they can do. So we kind of want to make it more of like a school of comm thing.
We're just trying to make it bigger, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're just trying to expand QFS, and we're trying to set up for the future, keep it thriving, and kind of like usher in a new generation, I guess, of QFS. Because that's kind of our job. I feel like that is our job, to set up people for the future of the club and all that. Because at the end of the day, we're in these positions because we care about the club,
Yeah.
and we think it's very important, and we want it to continue. So that's kind of like we're working really hard this year to set stuff up for the future.
Awesome. And staying on the topic of futures, I'd like to ask you guys your hopes and dreams, whether it be professionally or in general.
Kind of want a hot tub. That'd be cool. No.
Epic.
In actuality, my hopes and dreams. I mean, what I want to do with my career. I've said it throughout this podcast, but kind of just to keep it I'll lay it out simple. I guess, like super, like exactly what it is. In my career, my thing is just Jewish representation, and I want to be a cinematographer, and I want to create content and long, short form, whatever content is going in the future. I mean, I want to work on films mainly. Films and television shows are kind of like my big thing that I want to do, but I'm willing to do anything as long as honestly, as long as I'm not working in a desk job. I'll be happy, I think. As long as I'm actively working in the film industry and just doing in the media industry and doing something that I love, I'll be happy.
Incredible.
I would say for me is I definitely want to have my own production company. I want to like run my own production company. I think something along the lines of that. I definitely like producing, especially after like this capstone experience. I feel like you need to be very knowledgeable about it, but I feel like that's kind of like how I operate. I feel like I operate in a very like high stress environment, especially with like what producing is. But definitely like running a production company, and I don't know. I would say my top 3 things that I would want to do in film is writing, producing, and maybe editing. But yeah, I think those are like what I want to achieve. But definitely my own like company thing.
Definitely just editing or cinematography for me. I mean, cinematography is my big thing, but like editing, like you just reminded me, because I feel like I'm on a cinematography course right now, but like kind of gonna do either or. Like I feel like I can imagine my career being like I'm on set, DP, working with camera, doing all that stuff, and I'll be happy. It's the other pathway where it's like I always think about this one experience I had in my internship where I had to go on a run. And a run being like I had to go do something pretty much for them, like an errand. So I went on a run, and I had to go to this editor in Venice Beach, and like pick up a hard drive from him or give him a hard drive, or whatever. So I go to his house to go get his stuff. He's like directly on Venice Beach, like I'd say 3 houses off of like Venice Beach, and I just like he walks out in like just like really relaxed pants and like a sweatshirt and like flip flops. And like like the California type hat. He walks out with that, and he just like gives me the hard drive or whatever, and we're just like talking about it, editing. He's just like working full time, professionally editing, in his house on Venice Beach. And I'm like, that would be great.
That's the dream.
That's also the dream right there. Like if I'm remote editing, away from everything, away from anyone, being very like isolated, Venice Beach is a cool place to do it.
I stayed at Venice Beach when I went to California.
It's awesome.
It's a very cool place, yeah.
And of course, staying on the topic of movies, what are some of your guys' favorite movies?
I already, my answer.
Do you want to go first?
I guess. I was talking to her roommate Julia Schnarr about this yesterday. I feel like I'm going a little farther. So on Letterboxd, I have a top 20. I'm not going to list all 20. I feel like I can condense it to a top 6. And I feel like those top 6 movies all kind of represent me as a person. Like they're all kind of little pieces of me as a person. I feel like they all are very me. So like The Dark Knight, because spoiler alert, I'm a man, so I like The Dark Knight, I guess. That's what Shannara said yesterday. That's what she said in response. But I feel like it represents me. It's just like, I don't know, those are just type movies I like. I like crime dramas, and I also just like really like, I just like really good filmmaking, and that's a really good and that also goes into Whiplash too.
Mhm.
But also shows, I think Whiplash just represents me in terms of like, Whiplash is my number 2. It's just like I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'll do anything to do it. I feel like not to the same extent as and Mr. Andrew Neiman,
Mm.
and I'm not the same extent as Andrew Neiman, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm a little bit of an obsessed artist, and will do everything for it. So there's that, and then it also leads into my number 3, which is La La Land, because I'm very, very passionate about what I do, and I feel like that comes through in what I do. And then 4 is Interstellar, because I love Interstellar, I love space, and I'm very curious about what's beyond our own Earth.
Mm.
And then Back to the Future is a very important movie to me, one of my first movies that really resonated with me, and it's just one of my favorites for that reason. And then Before Sunrise, because I am a fan. I like people, not in terms of I actually don't like people, but I don't like people in the sense of like I work retail, I don't like people, but like the people that I'm close with, people that I talk to, I like learning about people. I like learning about people's stories, like the Zicast.
Exactly.
I like learning about people's stories. I like conversations. I like learning about who people are, and I feel like before trilogy kind of is a great character study of just on people. There you go, top 6, rapid fire.
Yeah.
Shrek 2. No,
It is Shrek. Number 0
Shrek
is
2
Mamma
is
Mia.
actually in my top 5. I'm being dead serious. Right
I'm being dead serious. Mamma Mia is my number 0 movie of all time.
Yes.
I love it. So much.
Actually, I will say, Interstellar is also one of my top 5. They're not in any specific order, but Shrek 2, Interstellar. I would say 8th Grade by Bo Burnham. That's such like
Love 8th Grade.
I saw that at so he actually went to Jacob Burns, the film camp that I did, and he did like a whole panel on it, and I was like, oh my god, like this is one of my new favorite movies. It's just so, I want to say like realistic to like, not to be like, but like the Gen Z kid. Like I feel like it's so like how I felt in middle school.
I relate to it way
Yeah.
too hard. I wrote a whole essay about it.
It's
my
such a
favorite
good movie.
of, well, is it 2019?
2018.
Came out in 2018?
Yeah.
My favorite movie of 2018.
That's such a good movie. It's I actually have a list on Letterboxd that isn't like my meme like Shrek 2 SpongeBob movie thing on my profile. So
But if you call Mamma Mia a meme, though, like you can't. I feel like your love of Shrek 2 is also my love of Mamma Mia.
it's actually like one of my favorite movies.
It's
though.
become beyond. It's beyond a meme. At
Me
this
and
point.
Ryan were talking. He was like, I heard you during the Sundance. I heard you talk about the Justin Timberlake cameo before it even happened. And I was like, yes, like I'm obsessed with this movie.
Yeah.
Interstellar, I think space is so cool. Just that whole film I feel like is perfect. Like there's nothing wrong with it. 8th Grade, I would say Perks Being a Wallflower. I read the book first. I loved it. I read the book in one day, and then I immediately watched the movie right after in the same day. And I was like holy crap, like this is like, because it's directed by the writer of the book. And I was just like, oh my god, like Charlie, like I relate to Charlie so much. Like this is such a good film that I really like.
Peak film.
It's a really good film. I love Logan Lerman and Emma Watson. I think that's a very good film.
Shout out the new Percy Jackson series, by the way.
I'm so excited. I want to know if he's like in it.
Too bad I canceled Disney Plus.
Damn. And then I think I don't know, just Oppenheimer just like really stuck out to me this year. So good.
Oh, Oppenheimer's my number 1 of this year too. But
I recently just watched it this weekend with Jen. It was her first time watching it. And like some of the scenes would come up and be like, Jen, you gotta like this part, you gotta like this part. And she was like, when can I go to the bathroom? And I was like, after the bomb, like you gotta go quick.
After the bomb. That's
I
crazy.
had to pee during Killers of the Flower Moon, and I didn't get up, so I had to pee for like an hour, I'd say, of that film.
She
Dedication.
did doze off during Oppenheimer, which I mean like I understand, but I was just like, I was like, Jen, go quick, Truman's about to get like go.
That's how you get kicked off of Sundance, is falling asleep during Oppenheimer.
I fell asleep during theater camp.
That's fine.
Not theater camp's fault. It was my fault. It was like 2 a.m.
No, Jen can't go to Sundance anymore because she fell asleep during Oppenheimer.
I'll have to let her know that.
Yeah, I'll let her know. I'll send the letter.
But I think that's like my list. I'd probably say.
Awesome.
When you said Oppenheimer, I just want to say this. See Past Lives. Past Lives is also like if Oppenheimer wasn't Christopher Nolan and didn't just like really, I think it's such an important film also. besides just being a really good film. Past Lives is so good.
The director of that's also going to be at the Chris Nolan event at Sundance. Both of them are going to be there. I want to go, but the tickets are individual tickets are like $2,000.
Listen. I already have a plan to sneak in. This is my second time that I could see Christopher Nolan, and I didn't. So I'm going to this time because in LA, my friends in my internship all go to Emerson, and they got to go to the Warner Brothers lot and have a movie night with Christopher Nolan.
What?
Yes. And
How?
I said, sneak me into that. And they're like, no. And I'm like, I'll find my way and send me the address. They never sent me the address. If they did, I would have probably committed a felony. I'm not going to so I'm going to commit a felony at Sundance. I'm going to see Christopher Nolan.
My mom asked me that. She's like, what do you want for Christmas? And I've been like saying like donate to the Capstone. Like you're ready letting me go to Sundance. You're letting me go to France. Like I'm cool. She keeps asking me. I'm like, all right. Christopher Nolan's gonna be at Sundance, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know if that's happening." I was like, "Oh, well, you keep asking."
I'll find my way.
I do want to go to that so bad.
We're not. No offense to everyone else on the trip.
We're gonna.
It's a solo mission with me and Merolle.
We're sneaking in.
It's a solo mission. We can't have too many people that will corrupt the mission.
It's a subplot.
It's the subplot of Sundance, and I'm gonna vlog the felony.
My mom was like, based on like just the experiences that you've had, you might be able to get in. She was just like, you will find some way. And I'm like,
we will find some way.
I will find some way in.
What day is it again? I forget.
It's the 18th. It's like we're going to be there.
Watch out, Nolan.
I mean, anyway.
We don't have our collaborative name yet. Like we never could figure out something that's like I know like with Quinnipiac tonight, like they have like whatever, I don't remember what it is. It's Kate and Aaron's thing. 8. Yeah, they have 8. And like even like I have a thing with
Menes.
Are you just gonna say the Schnar one?
I have me and Julia Schnar have Schnari.
Schnari. I like that.
You're Schnari. That's how Ash refers to us now.
Yeah.
But, so we need one of that for our mission. This is a Merari experience.
I like that. Merari.
There we go.
By the way, Ferrari's gonna be really good too, and I'm really excited for that.
Speaking of Merari, Ferrari.
Speaking of Ferrari, it's for Ari, and that is my most anticipated movie the rest of the year because Napoleon was kind of mediocre. Anyway.
I know. I heard about that. I was like, damn.
So sad. I was
awesome.
So sad.
So incredible choices. And do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add?
Watch movies, study movies, learn from movies. They're the most important thing in our media. They teach very valuable lessons, and cinema is important. And yeah, make sure you learn from movies and create just create as much as you can. It's a great way to just express yourself and who you are, but also it's a great way to it's therapeutic. Creating for me is therapeutic, and I always tell people like, if you're struggling, try to let out your emotions through creativity. I'll, even if I'm not creating a film, to let out the emotions, I'll like mindlessly like doodle on my iPad or something. Like I'll do something just to like express, to like let out my emotions in a creative way. Or I'll just play Doom Eternal on Nightmare mode.
Awesome.
That's also how I get out my stress.
That works. Yeah, so thank you guys for, of course, coming on, and thank you for leading QFest, as it's been just so much fun for me to join and a great way for me to meet people on campus.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
That's what it's all for. That's what it's all for. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you again. And this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story, signing off. Thank you for watching.